Yesterday we came in for Daytona for the race, and because the hotels were so expensive there, we came down to Titusville is what we did. And when we checked in, the lady said, "Are you guys here for the launch?" And I'm like, "What? The launch?" And they had a launch last night, and we got to watch it from the rooftop bar here in the hotel. Let's see what happened here. We lost all the people. Let's see if we can pull that. Oh, there we go. Top line. There we go. Don Johnson, good to see you. Yeah. Like Christmas morning. Thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, I am back. Actually, I was making some videos with on this trip. So when I get back home, I'm going to start working on another pilot vlog. And I'll be using this trip for it. Let's see. St. Louis. Okay. Paul? Yeah, kind of just decided to throw this together at the last minute. So you'll have to forgive me for the lighting. It's not that... Hold on, let me turn my computer this way. That works a little bit better. Hotel Golf Romeo. Where is that? Oh, you got your commercial. That's great. That is fantastic. Trucker Tim, good to see you here. Appreciate everybody. Yeah. What I was saying originally starting out was we came into the Daytona for the race and then drove down to Titusville. And I'm with Ted. I'm flying with Ted now. And Ted bought a metal detector right before we left. So early this morning, we took the metal detector and went down to the beach. We went to a beach, I think, about 20 miles south of here. Can't think of the name of the beach. Not that it really matters, but you know, we walked down the beach and he used the metal detector and we found one penny. One penny. It was a 2011 penny, but proof of concept, it worked. So, oh, hello from Jackson. Okay, Little Rock. Hey, Nathan from Little Rock. That is where I first started working as a pilot. Yeah, I went to Central Flying Service. That's where I got my instrument rating, commercial, CFI, MEI, double I, ATP, all that stuff. Oh, from the UK. Oh yeah, I got a buddy that's from the UK, Jeff. Jeff, you guys have seen him in some of my videos, and yeah, see, he's busy as heck. He just got recurrent in the caravan. We got a new caravan. Sold the old one. I think I mentioned that last time. And the new one we got is a Grand Caravan, and it is actually having an executive interior put into it, and it's also getting single point, which that's fantastic. That's a huge improvement right there. Yeah. So, all right, Indianapolis. Oh, good. Oh, I was at Indianapolis executive. Gosh, I think maybe it was last Wednesday, and the wind, we had a ferocious crosswind going in there. Pretty day, but the crosswind was substantial. Yeah, and then we spent the day there, went to lunch, and flew back later in the afternoon. Nice day. I don't want to miss anybody that's saying hello or something like that, because the comments will come up as you put them in, but then they'll drop off. Oh, Vegas. Yeah, I like going to Vegas. I like doing trips to Vegas because I like to stay there for maybe 3 days and spend a day in the center down on the strip. But I'm not a gambler, so that's not my thing. But it is fun to go see the people, watch the people, and see what's going on down there. I do keep in touch with Mike. Yeah, absolutely. He's doing great. Doing great. He, well, gosh, he's traveling with his family, and you know, he does lots of volunteer work, things like that. He does work on houses for you know, different social groups that provides housing for people in trouble and things like that. And he does repair work, different things like that, carpentry type stuff. And that's one of his I guess things he does. Yeah. Okay, so we leave out of here tomorrow morning. fly back, and then I think the next trip I do is, no, it's not St. Simon Island. That's Naples. I think I'm going to Naples next. Breeze, okay. Well, I'm not familiar with them. I've never flown on them. Columbus, I do get to Columbus. Oh, coffee. Yeah, coffee would be great. Actually, I had lunch, kind of a surprise lunch with a friend of Ted's today that follows the channel. Yeah, and it was, he flies for Southwest. He was a very interesting gentleman, very interesting, very informative. Oh, somebody's going to ask me about the planes and the kind of, it just, wait, let me see if I can pull it back down. It's, of all the planes you've flown, I miss the Encore the most. That plane, oh boy, you know, the Boz 81, the Encore honestly was one of my favorite airplanes. It had fantastic performance, easy to fly, very capable airplane. In fact, I used to tell people, because we flew 135 in it, and would get a new person checked out, something like that. People that generally already had aviation experience in other jets, and some of them airline stuff and things like that. And I would always warn them for the first takeoff, because coming out of the downtown Koki Airport, you leveled off at approximately, normally I think it was 2,000 feet, 1,500 feet above the surface. And so you would get clear for takeoff, climb, maintain 2,000. The first thing I always told them is, there are two things you're going to have to watch. The first is, and this is all because people, you know, think of them as flotations and being, you know, not that great, not that fast. The Encore, for its size, I think is overpowered. But no problem with that. But this is what would happen. I say, okay, there are two things you got to watch here. The first is, you're going to bust your altitude. And the second is, as soon as you realize that and recover for it, you're going to go very close to hitting the red line and exceeding V&E. And almost invariably, even when I told them, people would be surprised at really the initial climb rate that you could get out of the airplane. So, I mean, you were just going up, and just almost as soon as you were up and had everything cleaned up and all that, now your altitude's coming up. You need to be pulling back on that power, leveling off. That people wouldn't anticipate how fast it would get there. But if they did, and I warned them and they caught that, then the next thing was that power was still there and it was accelerating. So great airplane, great airplane. Let's see what we got here. Great to see you, Calvin. Excuse me. I'm not going to be able to stay here long because we're going to dinner pretty soon. I just wanted to get in here and update you guys and let you know I am working on a new video. Getting back to that, I've got my cameras with me, and here, I'll show you what I got here. So I got plugged them all in here. They're my GoPros. I'm not sure if you could really see that. I'm just picking up the tripod here and tipping it over. But like I said, I did make video coming in here, and tomorrow I'm planning on making some video leaving out. What else can I tell you? I'm going for current. I'm going to, instead of flight safety this time, I'm going to go to CAE, Orlando. And just ended up being cheaper. That's why. And having a little more flexibility on their slots for what I was doing. Yep. Okay, let's see what we've got going on here. Okay, there we go. Gosh, we got a lot of comments here. Oops, I may be going the wrong direction. Yes, I'm still based in the St. Louis area, out of the Spirit of St. Louis Airport. So, hey, good to see you guys. Jim Goldfuss, good to see you. Hey, good to see everybody here. Okay, I'm gonna have to check the time here. I gotta check that. What's going on? Oh, so last night, I was just mentioning earlier, we checked into the hotel. They asked, are we here for the launch? I had no idea they were having a launch here, and we're across the Indian River. We can see the assembly building from here. Is looking out the window. I've got the window in front of me right now. Yeah, there we go. You can see it. And so it was taken off at 10:59 local time. We stayed up, went upstairs, and it was a Falcon 9 satellite launch is what it was. And it was pretty spectacular. I mean, it was basically at night, and there was an upper cloud layer. It was like a fireball just shooting up into the sky. To me, it's absolutely incredible how fast something like that accelerates vertically going up. But what was interesting also is we had an overcast layer, multiple broken layers, and it would go into one. You'd see the clouds glow, disappear, and then all of a sudden the clouds above it would start glowing, and you'd see it reappear and go back up and go through different layers and stuff like that. I would have liked to have seen it on a perfectly clear night because I did take a little bit of video. I'll probably put just a very small piece of that in the video I'm making. But I would have liked to have seen it arc out over the ocean like it did. And then the booster that launched it, the Falcon 9, did not come back here. It actually went to a drone ship out in the ocean is what it did. But when I get back to my room, because we came down to the room right afterwards, I got on YouTube and saw a live YouTube video of that very same Falcon 9 landing on the drone ship. It was very cool, very cool. So I could mark that off my wish list. But I still want to see the SpaceX Starship take off. What I would like to do is go down to Boca Chica, Texas, and see it when they have the initial test flight for that one, which I think is coming up. In all honesty, I probably won't be able to. But maybe once all that's done and they're doing it on a regular basis, I'll be able to catch one of the launches. Okay, let's check here. So anybody gotten a new certificate or anything like that? Anybody gotten your private, instrument, commercial? New job. Seems like everybody's getting a new job. Oh yeah, and the guy we had lunch with, I was really surprised because he was talking about how young and how the load time that the pilots have now that they are hiring there. And apparently in all the airlines, it used to be like you'd be hiring a guy that had 5,000, 6,000 hours, at other times 10,000 hours. Not now. No, now 15, if that, 2,000, something like that. Actually, right now, 2,000, 2,500 would be considered a lot more than it would have been, a few years ago. A lot has changed. A lot has changed. Okay, so I think also what I will start doing is doing a live broadcast on a fairly, I'm going to try to do it once a week. I don't think I'll be able to keep it on the same day because I am a corporate pilot and, we have lots of flying come up. And some of it, most of ours, we have very little last minute stuff. Very little, almost all of it. I know 2 or 3 days ahead of time at the minimum. I'd say we might get one a year that is a surprise and we suddenly have to go. And that's usually because something happens somewhere unexpected, that type of thing. It doesn't tend to be like, oh, we just got up today and decided, hey, can you take us to who knows where, San Francisco, Napa Valley, someplace like that. So what else is going on? Let's see. I probably mentioned in the last one I'm doing some work, occasional work for other people also, helping them fill their seats. I'm finding that people that I was relying on to get help to fill the seat after my kid retired are ending up in the same spot now. So it's very surprising. In fact, this is not normal, but I'm thinking about 4 days ago, I was in my office, and on the same morning, I got 4 calls for people that were trying to fill either the left seat, right seat in their Citation Excel. And the funny thing is, the very next day, I had a 2-day trip. Every one of those 4 calls in some way overlapped those next 2 days. I don't know what they did. I mean, hopefully all of them were able to find people, because that can be quite a challenge, especially, well, one of them I know was very late notice because the person got sick. That's why they were doing it the afternoon before. Actually, it was the morning, so, but hopefully every one of those trips got covered, and it's good. All right, so let's see. I'm going to flip all the way up through these questions, see. I think I may have hit something that stopped it from scrolling. Okay, do I prefer the Challenger, XLS, or Sovereign? That is a really good question, and that's from Matt Jenkins. Okay, I would say, first of all, they're all good airplanes. They all have their pluses and minuses. I am not typed in the Challenger, even though I've done day work on it, filling in the right seat. The Challenger is a capable airplane. It's a Proline 21 system, but at least with the ones that I was in, they tended to have more problems with the avionics than I've noticed in the airplanes I'm flying. Now, that may just have been those airplanes, but it seems like there's like some electrical. It's a computerized airplane, basically. So it seems like there was something always popping up that had to be addressed or taken care of or something like that. Yeah. But other than that, it's when I flew it, I don't think it handled as nicely as the Excel. I think the Excel is actually an easier airplane to fly. And from my experience, now you asked about the XLS also. You said the XLS. I was flying an XLS before I flew this one. From what I'm seeing with my buddy's Challenger, they tend to have more problems than we have on the Excel. I mean, we do have things go wrong, things that have to be fixed, but with their airplane, I think they're having it more often, and it seems like a bigger problem when it happens. Like I said, it just may be that. I can't say that really reflects on all of them. The Excel, like I said, very reliable, easy to fly. It's basically just a pumped up Citation Encore. That's what I flew before this one. The Sovereign, I like the Sovereign also. Like the Challenger, it has a greater range. The Sovereign has a greater range than the Excel and the XLS. What I don't, and it's a Honeywell FMS system also, so it's different from what we have. But you learn how to use it. That's no big deal. What I don't like about the Sovereign is the fact that it's very stiff when it rides through turbulence. And I'll try to explain what I just said. We fly through turbulence and we know it's there. It's kind of like that, as long as it's not, severe or something like that. But with the Sovereign, for some reason, and I think it probably has something to do with the wing, it's much stiffer when it hits it, so it's a more pronounced shock or bump as you ride through the turbulence. I think that's one of the very first things I noticed about the airplane. Other than that, it's a great airplane. It's a nice flying airplane. I have a lot of good things to say about it. I did a trip on one, let's see, this was, oh, actually, that's the last time I did this. I was on a Sovereign trip. Yeah. All right, let's see what else we got here. Well, thanks, Smitty Smith. Appreciate it. Matt Johnson, you're welcome. Thanks, Jonathan Silva. I appreciate that. Longest flight ever. Okay, well, I think the longest flight ever was, when was that? That was not me. That was somebody else, and they flew around the world. I can just picture the airplane. Uh, I think they had an initial problem where they had little winglets and lost them on the takeoff because the wings were dragging. But it went for days and days. My longest trip would be in the, oh boy, it would have to be the Gulfstream 2B. And that, I believe, would be, I can't remember if it would be the flight out to London or on one of the return flights. I went there several times. And I'm thinking, well, I flew with Gulfstream 3 also, but I'm thinking we did a 6 hour leg, 6.5 hour leg. Well, that it's been a long time. That would have been the right around 2000, 22, 23 years ago. That was a fun airplane also. That was very different. One of those Gulfstreams I flew, and this is really kind of odd, at that time was serial number 5 on the Gulfstream 2. And it had been bought and sold, and a contractor for the military had bought it, and they had done all sorts of modifications and stuff on it, put it in the experimental category. And that airplane, I ran across one of the pilots somewhere when I was flying it, and they had been doing, I won't name the aircraft carrier, they had put in a experimental heads-up display for the military, and it was on one side of the airplane. The other pilot had the normal stuff. He told me they were comfortably doing touch and goes RVR 600, which is, to do touch and goes, that's pretty crazy. And he said, well, they were also, weren't landing on them, but they were doing these practice approaches, working on the technology to aircraft carriers, which I found kind of interesting also. They said they would always break off at some point with what they were doing. That airplane, I think, eventually ended up being parted out. But it had some interesting quirks to it. Yeah, it went back into the normal category after all this was done, and they had to change stuff back and forth on that. Let's see. Oh, just decided to attend ATP to go to the... Okay, let's see. Working on my first class medical. Fingers crossed, nice to see. Okay, I'm just kind of running through this real fast. Yeah, good luck with that. Oh, wow. Okay, if I were the owner, if I were going to buy a jet, first of all, I would say I would not buy a jet. Even if I were a multi-millionaire, myself, I would charter. I would want somebody else that to be their headache, because they are very expensive to maintain. And you've got a crew, and there's just so much stuff, and it's just a continuing drain on your money. In fact, I tell people if they're thinking about buying, their own jet, and because I do talk to some people like that, I tell them right up front, I said, look, first thing you got to understand is that price that you pay for that aircraft is nothing but an entry fee that gives you the privilege to continue paying month after month. Because you're going to have inspection after inspection, you're going to have maintenance issues you have to address. It just keeps going. But that's great. I mean, I love it that people love getting this. I mean, it gives them freedom. And that's what they're buying. They're buying freedom with it because it saves you so much time. You don't have to deal with the airlines. You don't have to stop in Dallas when you're going up to Seattle or something like that. You just go straight there. You walk in the airport, you get on your airplane, it's ready. They start 5 minutes later, you're in the air on your way. You can have whatever you want to eat, any of that stuff. So that's what they're buying. To me, personally, it wouldn't be worth it. So I would never buy an airplane. I prefer for other people to buy them, and then I fly them. Yeah. So I know that sounds kind of odd. But if I were to buy an airplane, okay, if I were going to buy an airplane, the question becomes, am I buying an airplane that I would fly or that somebody else would fly and I would sit in back? If I were going to buy an airplane, a corporate jet that I would buy a Citation M2 or a CJ 4 or 3. They are very nice flying airplanes. I love them. They're great airplanes. I have all sorts of positive things to say about them. As far as the turboprop, I really like, and this is probably the fact that this is what I've flown. I like the Caravan a lot. I have lots of good things to say about the Caravan, and King Air 200 would be a good option for me also. Yeah, that's what I would do. What would you do? I mean, what would you guys buy? I mean, think about that. If you had $100 million sitting in your bank account, and you wanted to go somewhere, what would you do? Would you buy a first class ticket? Would you charter an airplane? During COVID, there's a guy who used to fly, and he was going back and forth from the US to India. And normally I would just fly him up to Chicago, and then he would fly the airlines to India. He got caught over there during COVID, and he ended up chartering oh my gosh, I can't remember what it was, but one of the much more expensive corporate jets used for charter. Flew all the way from the US. I don't know if it was Delhi, but over to India, and flew all the way back. And I have no doubt that just that by itself was way over $100,000 for that trip. So even if you have $100 million, some of these airplanes would really put a hurt on you, because some of them, as they're coming out of the factory, are very, very expensive airplanes, expensive to operate, expensive to crew. I'm thinking one of the newer, really big corporate jets. A friend of mine was telling me that those guys are getting $5,000 a day as contract pilots on it. So think about that also. You know, the crew, you're going to have to pay for a crew, 2 of them. You know, using contract guys at that rate, in addition to everything else, that's $10,000 a day. Plus the meals, hotels, rental car, all that stuff. It adds up. It adds up very fast. And I apologize for wandering onto a different topic. That's not really what you asked, but it's just kind of, you know, just one of those things going on right now. And I think people know there's a shortage right now of pilots. I don't think people realize how serious it is. And it's not just the pilots, it's the air traffic controllers. It is the people in the schools for maintaining your currency. It's the people that work on the airplane. The whole industry right now is short people. And it's going to be a while till that turns around. All right, somebody else come up with something for me to talk about so I don't just bore everybody. Mike's traveling with his family. Yeah. Papa Vito's in Cocoa Beach. That's where we went. Oh, I couldn't think of the name of it. We went earlier, Ted and I, we drove to Cocoa Beach because the day before we left here, he bought a metal detector. And we walked along the beach. He did the metal detector thing, waving it back and forth. And I had this like scoop thing that the sand would fall out of. So we found, I think we were there for an hour. And we found 1 penny is what we found. But, you know, I think we talked to somebody and we made a couple of mistakes. First of all, we were there in the middle of the afternoon and there were all these people. So you can't really like go through all the people and like, ma'am, would you move over, please? We're looking for coins or something. No, you can't do that. And this person was saying you really need to do it early in the morning before all the people get here, or after they leave in the afternoon, and go through the areas where they are to do that. So, I don't know. We'll probably do it again. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'll take it home and start working. I don't know where he's going to go with it. I couldn't tell you. Let's see. Wichita, you got your, oh, you got your ATV. Fantastic, Fly Guy. Uh, start flying Embraer 505. Okay. Well, thanks for that. I appreciate it. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. Well, I hope the whole corporate thing works out for you. Yeah. Falcon 900. CeeLo. I'm going to go with CeeLo, huh? Okay. Falcon 900 is a very nice airplane. Believe it or not, I am typed in the 900. I have never flown one. I've stepped in one and looked at it. That's it. That's it. When I got that type, the Falcon 50, Falcon 900 were the same type, and I ended up. This guy had bought the Falcon 50, got me typed. We flew it for about 40, 45 hours, and then he sold it. So I have a couple of types like that because I have in the past I've worked for people that would buy airplanes, upgrade the avionics, do different things, and then resell those airplanes. So they wouldn't have them long. While they did have them, they would fly them, but a lot of times that aircraft would be gone within a year, either be sold or go on a long-term lease. PC-12, never flown a PC-12. The Mustang, the Mustang. It was not one of my favorites. And it's kind of hard for, well, one of the problems was the one that we had gotten, I flew it some, but it just seems like there was always some issue that it had that had to be addressed. And I think my negative opinion of it has started really because of the fact that it was an aircraft that did not fit our missions, basically. It was really not for what we were doing because we fly more people, we go further, go longer, and that was just not the plane for it. So I'm sure it's a good airplane that people that really enjoy it. Like it just really did not fit our profile. So I'm not even sure why we had that. Let's see. Roaming pilot mind. Oh, yeah, yeah. That's funny because there was, I mentioned earlier, we were with the Southwest guy when we had lunch today, and our conversation at lunch really drifted around flying in thunderstorms, using radar, and using radar to the best of our ability, and thunderstorms, and then back to radar, and thunderstorms, and back to radar. Yeah, so where else can you do that? Let's see. Have I flown into Wilmington, North Carolina? Yes, yes, but it's been a long time since I've been there. Oh, good barbecue. I love barbecue. We had barbecue yesterday. Frozen Ottawa. Ooh, thank you. I appreciate that, Fred. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, I have not seen the report on the Nepal crash. I have my opinion, which, since the report has come out, may just totally be off base. Let's see, but he says, after the report of the Nepal crash, is it common to have the flaps lever next to the feather of the engine lever in other aircraft? Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, I'm just trying to picture this. And so I'm assuming those two levers were very close together. I don't know. I don't know, because I've personally have never flown an airplane where you could confuse one with the other. The lever for feathering the prop, normally it's there with the throttles, and it has a different shape on the round part of the thing. The flap handle tends to be a square, flat thing or something similar that is more symbolic of a flap. And on the airplanes that I fly, it is offset in a different place. But, and this applies to all airplanes. When you make the decision to move something like that, a control that affects the performance or the flight characteristics of the aircraft, or the other pilot commands you to do that, you need to always confirm that that is what you have. And as soon as you move it, you say flap selected, or this selected, or you're selected. So that you have this interaction between the two of you also, where each knows exactly what you're doing. And this is another thing about these airplanes. If you move something in an airplane, a switch, a lever, a wheel or something, and the airplane does something that you do not like, immediately put that switch, lever, or whatever back in the original position. That's just basics of it. Okay. Oh, I got to check the time real fast because we're supposed to meet at 7 for dinner. Oh, it is 7 and I'm driving. Okay. Well, folks, I really appreciate everything. I so much appreciate it. Like I said, I'm working on a new video. That'll be this trip that I'm doing right now. Going back tomorrow, and I wish all of you well. Like I say, always fly safe. Keep the blue side up, brown side down. And you guys enjoy the rest of the weekend. Thanks. Here's where I slow down, where I figure out how to stop this. There's got to be a way. Boom.